Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second episode of the week. In today's episode, well, let me introduce my partners. Same as every week. My boys Gerald and Addison.
Yes, sir.
Hello, hello.
Yeah. So this week, this second episode of the week, we're gonna be talking about the Cardinals. Last episode we went over the month of April. And yeah, it's just time to get back to the Cardinals in recent weeks. We're gonna go over some series that we've missed because we weren't able to do an episode last week. Our confidence meter, of course, and then we'll just wrap it up with some predictions and some players we want to talk about. So let's get started. Yeah, so let's jump right into the LA Dodgers series. This is where the losing streak started. Um, how'd you guys see that series?
So the Cardinals kind of been slumping recently. Um, I know that series before that we had a four-game series against the Giants, and we only won one of those four, so we were kind of coming into the series slumping a little bit. But the Dodgers still a very formidable team, great baseball team. So yeah, we got swept, and it was on the road. Like I know I know, like, we don't want to see them lose, but it is a tough environment to go to in the LA stadium. Um, they have attendance, like, as much as the Cardinals do. Their fans are really passionate. So,
Yeah, I don't know what else to say really about it. Thing, I don't know. It was a really disappointing series.
yeah.
I thought they might have been able to steal one, maybe two, and to come away with nothing, was really discouraging.
Yeah,
Just based on what I saw on the series, I think our offense wasn't doing very good. The first game we scored 3 runs. The second game we scored zero, and then the last game we scored three. So the offense was kind of getting shut down by the pitching a little bit. I remember Kershaw pitched against us, and he had a perfect game going. So yeah, not really what you want to see, but you know, as of late they've been picking it back up, but it was tough for sure.
yeah, I agree. Especially when Kershaw was pitching a perfect game in the sixth inning. Um, yeah, moving on to the other LA team, the Los Angeles Angels. I'll let Addison go in on this one because I know he attended one of these games. So, what you think, Addison?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I went to the last game of the series. They lost 7-11, and I think the box score makes that game look a lot more respectable than it actually was because they were down 11 runs by the fourth inning. Oh no, wait, they scored two in the first. So they were down 11-2 by the top of the fourth, and then they got three back to go 11-5, and then they squeaked off a couple runs in the sixth. But um, that was a pretty jarring experience for me. I'm not gonna lie. This is the first time I'd ever seen the home crowd boo the Cardinals in Bush. I've
yeah,
never when Ollie came out and took the ball from I think Flaherty was on the mound that day. Double
Yeah,
check
he
that.
got taken out in the
Yeah, it
second
was
inning,
Flaherty. Yeah,
the third inning.
yeah. When Flaherty got the ball taken from him, the whole home crowd was booing. It was kind of insane. I'd never really seen Cardinal fans boo home team like that before. Obviously I'd seen them boo the Cubs, and I'm not saying that Bush doesn't boo, but like the disappointment from the home crowd was really jarring, and it's so jarring. In fact, I actually texted my dad during the game, and I was like, I can't remember a time that the home crowd booed. I'll actually hold on. Let me see what he said because he said that first of all, I don't think the Cardinals have had this bad of a start in our lifetime of 20 years.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me scroll back and find these texts quick. Born in, yeah, okay. He says the last time he remembers them being this bad was the late '90s. So that's why, like, obviously, it wouldn't be something that I would remember. Um, so yeah, I mean, really, that was brutal. Just to
Yeah,
see,
based on the way that the team has been performing lately, like I knew that the series would be tough. Like I feel like the Dodgers overall are a better team than the Angels, but the Angels obviously still were a good team, and we had to face Shohei that series, and I was looking forward to that. But yeah, like you said, I never heard the Bush fans boo the Cardinals, and it's just like kind of they're kind of reacting to how the team's been doing lately. Like a lot of fans think it's poorly managed, and a lot of teams are wondering what Ali is doing with the lineup card and calling players out. So yeah, I mean, the Cardinals have high expectations, man. Like we've always been good, and we haven't had a losing season in a long time. So the fans, they truly care, and you know you're gonna get that from our fan base.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel
yeah.
like that
It
game.
also is. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like that game was like such a representation of like what's going on with our team.
Yeah,
Cause like that game, like nobody really did much besides Nootbaar, uh, in that game, which he went 4 for 5, and then Flaherty just pitched 2.1 innings with 10 earned runs, which is crazy.
I
But
mean,
Yeah,
we put up 7 runs, but the game was over by the fourth inning. Like like Addison said, they were up 10 or 11 by the fourth inning. Like your offense is good, but you can't expect your offense to come back down 11. Obviously, that's not really realistic. So yeah, it just kind of feel like they got their soul snatched like early on in the game, and then they tried to recover, but it was too little, too late. Honestly,
I think also something that's indicative of how it had been going is the very next game, the Friday night game. There's a Friday night game in St. Louis, and you had 4,000 less fans than you did on a Thursday noon game. I
yeah.
mean, like I, I can't remember a time seeing Bush that empty on a Friday night. Like typically those are sold out games
but yeah, Friday night. I mean, maybe because it was the uh, Detroit Tigers, but I mean,
for sure.
I would have personally thought that was the series we were gonna start bouncing back on. Um,
Yeah,
but I mean, we kind of did bounce back in the third game. I guess we broke those 7 game losing streak against the Tigers. Lost the first game 5-4. Lost the second game in extras, 6-5. And then we finally won in the third game, 12-6. Yeah, I don't know. I don't got much to say about that series.
I
I don't know.
mean, yeah. The one game that we had, I think we blew the lead because of our pitching. I don't remember which game it was, but this kind of just like a representation of what's going on with the team right now. The pitching we know is the weak part of the team, and with the Angels, they kind of were exposing us with that. Like they scored 11 against us, and then the Tigers, they're arguably a top 5 worst team in baseball. They're still scoring 5 runs on us, 6 runs, and six. So yeah, when the offense comes ready to play, then we're gonna do good. But you know, the pitching
Yeah, that second
what has
game,
to hold up.
we were up. Well, we were up 3-0, and then they tied it in the fifth, and
Yeah,
then we went up 2, and then they scored 1 in the sixth and the seventh, and then 1 in the 10th. So kind of slowly let them take it, honestly.
yeah.
And yeah, I guess the offense just, I don't know. I feel like it for me. What I keep getting out of these games, especially on that losing streak or a little earlier on, was that we tend to score first, uh, but then it just slowly gets away from us because, as we said multiple times, and I'm tired of saying it, but it's the pitching. And yeah, it just seems like our starters can't really go more than 5 to 6 innings.
Yeah.
Well, now, go talk about the most recent series, the Chicago Cubs. It's always nice playing them, especially because the rivalry there. We finally won a series. I think winning that first game was very big. Um, I think that's one of the most important games to win
Yeah.
in the series. Probably the most important. But it was nice getting the best of Marcus Stroman, even though I mean, we only scored two against him, but he's also having a really good season right now. Um, so yeah, I think that was a nice thing to see, especially winning that first and second game.
Yeah, in the first game, we had Michaelis go 4 innings and he gave up a run, but besides that, no one else gave up a run for our pitching staff. And when you can hold a team to 1 run and you have an offense as good as us, we can put up 3 runs pretty easy. Um, yeah, that's the type of games that you like to see the Cardinals win, those low scoring games, but the offense can still do enough to help the pitching staff. But then I feel like the most exciting game of the series was game two when Paul DeYoung hit the home run to take the lead. That was exciting for me to see, and I definitely feel like the Paul DeYoung hype train is on
Hey,
with
he
me.
hasn't slowed down at
Yeah,
all,
yeah,
man.
no, I've
Uh,
been really pleasantly surprised by that.
yeah, you can tell he's locked in, and I love it. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
Kitchener too.
overall the offense in that game was exciting. I think we had 3 guys hit home runs. Yeah. Nolan Gorman and Newbar also hit a home run. Nolan Gorman's home run was like opposite field. Love to see that. And then Newbar, he crushed his home run like halfway up the bleachers. So yeah, offense came to play today. But the last game, I didn't watch it, but they put up 10 against us. So yeah, that's tough. But excited to win the series though. Once you really start winning series, you really start turning things around.
Yeah,
It's
I
good to
didn't.
win a division series too.
True.
Yeah,
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 I didn't really get to watch last night's game. But I mean, I looking at the lineup, I kind of thought we might have been able to take it, especially because Montgomery was on the mound.
yeah,
But he did get shelled 5 innings with 6 earned runs, only 3 strikeouts, which is, I mean, he usually gets around six.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna complain about winning a series, obviously, because of how the season's been going. Um,
Yeah, and we haven't won a series in so long, like 10 or 11 series. So
yeah.
get to finally say that we won one.
Speaking of Paul DeYoung, I do want to get into him a little bit here. I mean, people didn't want him to come up once again. Especially, I know Addison is not a big fan of
Yeah,
Paul
I
DeYoung.
wasn't. I wasn't a believer.
What you got to say about that, Addison?
Why? I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised. I was rooting for him. Like I just, I've seen over the last 3 or 4 years when he comes up and then he starts off hot and then he drops back off to batting 180. So I mean, I was hesitant, I was reluctant, but I think I'm glad he's proving me wrong.
Yeah. Me personally, like I told you guys, like I noticed the swing change, but I know with him, he's been through so many different swing changes, quote unquote, like over the past few years after his injuries and after his All-Star season. So I wasn't too sure how it was gonna go, but hey, he's doing great so far. His OPS is over 1,000 right now, which is always like that's like MVP level production. So yeah, he's looking good for me.
Yeah, I mean, hitting 364 in 13 games. Nothing to complain
Yeah,
about. Um, and he's
definitely
also got
not.
good defense, as we all know. I wouldn't say it's excellent, but it's Cardinals defense, so that's how it is. Um, And also, with him hitting 300 over 300, he also is hitting clutch hits like that home run we talked about.
Yeah,
Um, which sometimes we need that spark or something or someone to do something to get everybody else going. And I mean, he hit the home run, and then Kitchener hit a double to score Carlson. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's good, man, to see him doing good. It's been so long since he's actually done super good for a while, so
yeah.
it's good to see.
Now I have some things, recent news I want to talk about. Wainwright made his debut against the Tigers finally. Um, I think personally, I think it's nice to have him back, just to have that leadership in there. Um, Even just a veteran having, especially Wainwright, being in there. I'm glad he's back. As much as maybe he won't be the Wainwright we all know, I'm not going to complain about him being back. But yeah, I don't think he
Yeah,
looked that bad against the Tigers, anyways.
yeah. We all know he's probably not an ace anymore, but he's definitely a guy you can rely on to go out there and get you some innings. He pitched 5 innings and he had 5 strikeouts, which is a pretty good rate, but he did give up 8 hits and 4 runs, which, is kind of on par with where our guys have been, like giving up 3, 4, 5 runs. But like you said, having that leadership in the clubhouse and just having them around, maybe another veteran guy that can help the pitching staff with some things is good to have around.
Yeah, I think Wayno, um, at the very least, is just good for the locker room presence, clubhouse presence, I guess. But yeah, I don't know how much we can rely on him to, or how much him coming back is going to, help the overarching issue of pitching. So
Yeah,
Yeah, with the recent news of, some of the blame being put on Contreras, maybe, especially now that he's getting moved away from being a catcher, which is very interesting because we paid a lot of money for him to be that catcher, to be that guy who replaces Yachty. Um, and I don't know. I don't know, especially recently, now that Contreras, this whole thing about Contreras is going on, Wainwright seems to be there for Contreras, and I did read some stuff that they both have sat down together multiple times to talk, and Contreras seems to be very, very appreciative of Wainwright, in that sense. Uh, but I don't know how good it'll be, or how good it'll do to move Contreras away from being a catcher, even though he wasn't drafted as a catcher. You know.
yeah. Honestly, I think the situation is kind of poorly managed from the Cardinals organization, like telling telling everyone that Contreras is going to move away from the catcher position. Like maybe you could have said he's going to take a few off days, maybe help him out with what you want him to do, but to publicly go out and say it, and then the next day they came out and said, "Oh no, he's not a quarter outfielder anymore. Be a DH." So I don't know. It's kind of like some inconsistencies with what I read, but um, yeah, like you said, Wainwright, he's there to help with the morale, like, and he's a morale booster. Like he knows about many guys and what helps certain guys. So
Yeah, talking about the being it poorly managed. It feels like the organization's been all over the place this season. Um, with Contreras, with you know us expecting Jordan
I
Walker to be playing, him getting sent down. Yeah, I know Addison wants to talk about the front office,
like
so
to
I'll
I'd
let
like
him
to
take.
just pose a question. Because I forget, we talk so much baseball that I forget what we talk about on the pod or not. Did we talk about Ollie getting fired on the pod, or was that just a casual conversation we were having?
I don't think we talked about it.
it's casual, yeah.
It was casual. Okay, so article came out the other day asking if Ali Marmol should be on the hot seat. and whether or not I don't necessarily have an answer for that. I honestly don't think that he necessarily should be. I think if anybody's going to be on the hot seat, it needs to be John Mozeliak. I actually think they should fire him after this year. Kind of wholeheartedly. I believe it's time for a GM change. Aside from the Nolan Arenado trade and the Paul Goldschmidt trade, which are, you know, absolute highlights of his career, and believe me, like super happy about that we got those moves done. But like just looking at other things he did, I think he was responsible for the Ozuna trade, which sent Cy Young winner Alcantara away. He fired Mike Schultz 6 weeks after going on a 17-game win streak to clinch a playoff berth. He was responsible for hiring and letting Mike Matheny run the team for several years. I mean, there's just so many, and he's been lackadaisical and just nonchalant about the pitching situation. In fact, it was early this year when he was asked, "Are they going to make a move to get a pitcher?" He said, "We have 5 starting pitchers already, and clearly we don't." Um, I'm getting really tired of Mo. I think he passed on the Juan Soto trade last year, which I'm not super mad about, but the rumored pieces that the Nationals were asking for from us, I wouldn't necessarily be mad about giving up, especially for a generational talent like Juan Soto. So, I don't know if you give him one more year and see if he can make some moves for a pitcher. I think at least trying to go after a guy like Otani would be, you know, a step in the right direction. I think Corbin Burns' contract is up at the end of this year, something like that. But I don't know. He did pay Rondon, which I don't think they should have paid Rondon what the Yankees paid him, but we missed out on him. You know, missed out on the Sean Murphy trade last year, which I think everybody can agree that Sean Murphy is better than Contreras, at least right now. And we know that Sean Murphy can at least competently call a game. Um, I think if anybody on the Cardinal organization should be in the hot seat, it has to be John Mozeliak. And I don't think people are talking about that enough.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think Ali deserves all the blame for what's going on. He can only put the players out there in the right positions to try to succeed. Obviously, the players that are on the team, Mosaic is responsible for like bringing those guys in. Um, that was a long rant there, my man. But I'm gonna add on to it because also we had Zach Gallen, who is
Yeah,
on the Diamondbacks, and he could have won Cy Young also
I
last year.
think I think he was part of that Ozuna deal, and then they just shipped him for. Did they get Jazz back for him,
I'm
or
not sure.
Was Zach Gallen part of the Goldschmidt deal? I forget.
I don't think he was part of the Goldschmidt deal.
I don't think he was either. But I
I think we
think I
just
think we
let him.
shipped him. I thought we shipped him to Miami as part of the Ozuna deal, and then Miami got Jazz for him. But regardless, yeah. I mean, two Cy Young. Well, one won a Cy Young, and then one probably wins a Cy Young at some point in his career. Pit level
Yeah,
pitchers.
and if we still had them, we can just plug them at the top of the lineup. That'll probably be the best combination in baseball.
I mean,
Like,
yeah, especially right now with Flaherty, who's doing pretty well. Like if you're going Flaherty, Gallen, Alcantara, you're running away with this division easily.
As much as you could say we could have that rotation, it's so hard to see the future, especially with
yeah,
some
definitely.
players. Like, there's no way he could have seen Contra and Gallen both be Cy Young.
100. I mean, 100%. But at the same time, the guy in the pitching farm that they considered untouchable was Alex Reyes.
Which he was good. I mean, didn't he break the record of most saves in a row in a season? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he was that guy, and I don't know if he got injured or what happened, but
He
I
definitely
think
was
he, I
fighting
th-
injuries, and I think he was good, but I mean, you're valuing the closer, especially when you've got guys like Gio and Helsley in the farm. Like, I
Well,
don't know, man.
Alex Reyes coming up was a starter, so he just started battling a lot of injuries, so then he got moved to reliever. But
didn't he get
like
overused?
Fran, yeah, because by that time he had so many injuries, they were like, "No, we can't have you as a starter anymore." But Fran, like you said, it's hard. It's hard to see like that happen. Like we can't see into the future. You're definitely right, but there's definitely been questionable things that Mosaic has done. I don't really know if he should be fired or not. I definitely think he deserves more blame than what he gets, but it's tough to say, you know, because like the Arenado trade, we never would have expected that. The Goldie trade, we never would have expected it. So have to give him props for that. But he has definitely also made some questionable moves, and he hasn't addressed the starting pitching in about 4 years. Genuinely, like I never understood where the Steven Matz signing came from, really, and his contract hasn't really worked out. So
Yeah, I mean, the Cardinals claim that they're a frugal franchise. They believe that they're not buying championships; they're building championship teams. But then you pay a guy like Steven Matz who has battled injury. Don't get me wrong, but they're paying him like $13 million a year.
yeah,
Oh no, I
and he
feel
had
it. Go ahead, go ahead.
no. You can go ahead, honestly.
No, I was just gonna say that I don't know. I feel like as much as I would want to blame Mo, I feel like the ownership has a lot to do with it. I feel like the Cardinals ownership is living like they don't really care to spend much on the players when the fans are already paying for, and the fans being most of the revenue with the team still not being as good.
Yeah,
Because people are gonna show up to Bush, people are gonna use and go to Ballpark Village. Um, there's a new patch on the jersey now, which is probably giving them money and like stuff like that. I don't
yeah.
know. I feel like not anytime soon anything's gonna change if the ownership isn't changed. But that's just me. That's what I think about it. I wouldn't blame
I
Mo.
think I think it better because I think Cardinals fans are gonna get fed up here very soon, especially if this year keeps going. I think this year will be a pivotal year if the team doesn't turn things around because Cardinals fans don't wait long in between World Series rings. I think the longest we've ever gone without one is like 20 years, and that was in. Uh, I think the biggest gap was 1982 to 2006, but which I mean is a little over 20 years. But we're 2023 now. We're 12 years removed from a ring without even really coming close again. Since that, well, I guess we did go in like what was that 2014, or at least we made it
Okay.
to the NLCS. But I don't know. I think the Cardinal fans, the true Cardinal fans, are going to start getting really fed up, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw attendance numbers start to decline. And I think that and the shortened games. I don't know if the Card. Have you guys been reading? I think the interesting storyline right now. Have you guys been reading about the loss of revenue to beer sales this year
Oh
because the games are shortened?
no, I haven't heard about that.
So
Well, it makes sense.
because the games have been shortened, and most stadiums do last call for alcohol around the seventh inning. So people have like an extra, or like people are losing like a half hour, 45 minutes to drink beer. So stadiums were projected. I think the entire MLB like ownership was going to lose something like $1 billion this year because of less beer sales at stadiums. And so I know there's been like three or four teams this year already. I think it was the Brewers. Um, I know the Brewers were one of them. I forget the others, but they had extended out their alcohol sales to the eighth inning because they were losing money. And I think that, and if the Cardinals are bad and attendance drops, I think that might put some pressure on ownership. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like as much as I personally strive for fan safety and the fans, because there wouldn't be a sports if there weren't any fans. Um, I don't know. Like I understand moving the like the sales up to the eighth inning, but I don't know. It could cause a lot of problems, and
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I agree with your point. I mean, they will especially St. Louis, which is like one of the biggest cities, like beer wise. Um, I think you're right, and they could lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're gonna move into the confidence meter now. We're just gonna go over a few players, and yeah, so we're just gonna go into a little intermission right now, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We're gonna do our confidence meter now. Um, Starting off with the first player I want to talk about is um, Adam Wainwright. He just recently came back. Might be the leader that we are missing, especially now that Albert and Yachty are gone. Seems like we need that veteran presence in there. Pitching wise, he honestly didn't look that bad against the Tigers. I feel like the box score kind of it doesn't do him justice. But I also would not give him a five, especially because he's older now and he's, as Gerald said earlier, he's not an ace, and I don't think we should expect him to be an ace. So I don't know, maybe a three, right in the middle, three for me. What you guys think?
Yeah, me personally, I'm gonna break this down to two categories. So I'm gonna say off the field, he's probably a four or a five, just based off the fact that he can be a morale guy and help the pitchers with a lot of perspective. Our pitchers aren't very good, so him being able to help and him being a guy that's had success in his career, obviously a Hall of Famer. I think that's a big presence in the clubhouse, like you said, but on the field, I'm probably gonna say like a three because he did have a good year last year, but I feel like the question always is with Wayno, like how long is he gonna be able to sustain this with him being so old? And obviously this is his last season. So on the field, he's not really like a game changer for the starting rotation, but his presence is definitely valued. So overall, I'll probably say confidence meter wise, I'll have him 3.5.
Yeah, I'm with Gerald. I think we got to break this into two categories. I think he definitely um, can help areas of the team sort of behind the scenes. Um, I think if they do end up sticking with Contreras or wanting to try Contreras again at catcher, I think he could definitely lean some insight into how to call a game um, a little bit better. And I think also definitely with the pitchers, just trying how to manage a game. Um, so there, I'm with you guys 4 or 5. But then I think from a pitching aspect, just him being so old, um, I don't know. What did he give up at a start? He gave up like 8 hits in a start, didn't he? It's like game 2 of the Detroit series.
Game
I
one,
think.
or was it game two?
I think it was game 2. Oh God, hold on.
Yeah, it
I
might have
think it
I
was.
been,
scrolled
but
too
I mean,
far.
he only lit up four, so I mean that's what
Yeah,
we
he did.
expect now from our pitchers.
Right. So I'm well. Yeah, that's a good point. So I mean, 8 hits in 5 innings, 4 earned runs. Yeah, I'm gonna give him that middle of the road. I think just because that's what we've come to expect from our pitching. So yeah, I think like a three is very fair for him.
All right, sounds good. I'm gonna throw something in real quick, away from the confidence meter. I just saw something that we are having the fourth worst start in the season in franchise history. Um, because I know Addison was talking about it, talking with
Yeah,
his
does it
dad
give you
earlier.
years?
Yeah, so 1903 we started 10 and 28. 1907 we started 10 and 28. 1925 we started 13 and 25, and then this year we started 13 and 25.
To see, it wasn't even the '90s. This is a worse year than whatever the mid '90s team that my dad was talking about. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and like if we didn't go on this 3-win streak, we'd be tied for the worst start. But yeah, anyways, moving on to the next player is somebody that kind of connects with Wainwright is Wilson Contreras. Just because of the recent news of him getting moved away from catcher, I want to get your guys' opinions on that. Um, and yeah, who wants Addison? You want to start us off with Contreras?
Contreras. Am I giving confidence on him as a catcher or as an outfielder or a
Well,
DH?
catcher, DH, and then if he does get put back to catcher.
Um, well, I'll tell you, and I don't know. I don't know if it's fluky because people tend to do better when they're playing against their old team. Well, at least some guys get fired up for that. But I think he had a really good series against Chicago. Um,
Yeah.
so if that's indicative of what his bat's going to be for the next couple months or even the rest of the season, I think 3.5, 4 for him. And then from the catching side, I think if he can put in some time with Wayno, um, and like if he can really, I mean, Wayno's not necessarily that Yachty would be the best guy to talk to about learning how to call a game. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know about him from the defensive side, and we always knew it was going to be a liability. And I guess we were just hoping that it wouldn't be this bad. But um, I don't know. Catching defensive side, I give him like a two right now.
For me, so I kind of feel indifferent about this because as a DH, like I'm pretty much behind you guys. His bat is pretty good. He's a fiery player. He had a great series against the Cubs, and that's his former team. So to see him be fired up against them, and the crowd was booing him, and he was embracing it, I think that was good to see. But that's the type of player that he is, and he's also a very good hitter. So on the DH side, I'm probably gonna say 3.5, 4 for sure. But to me, on the catching side, I feel like he's taking a lot of blame for the pitching staff not being good, and I don't really think that's fair because Cardinals fans are used to having a great defensive catcher, and like a catcher can definitely change a game. Obviously, we know that, but also at the same time, your pitchers have to be good in order to play catch with the catcher. Like, and also like the catcher doesn't call the game. Like some guys can call their own game. So like I remember after Flaherty had a bad outing. I don't know if it was the most recent one or the second most recent one, but he kind of like called out the catcher on like
Yeah,
his his game calling and stuff like that. And I'm just like, you can call your own pitches. Like you don't have to throw what Contreras says he suggests. So I don't know. I feel like the the fans are kind of being hard on him because he's not up to the level of Yachty, which is big shoes to fill, as we
yeah, it's
know.
unfair. It's unfair for sure.
Yeah, but we can't give him all the blame because the pitchers haven't been good. So it's not like he's gonna make them good or like he is the main reason that they're the problem. Like the problem starts at them. But yeah, so with catching, I'm kind of in the middle. Like I'll be okay if he is the catcher. I'll be okay if he isn't. But there's things to like about his defense. He's athletic. He has a strong arm. He's just, I guess, he isn't the best at framing or whatever, or like his game calling isn't the best. But I don't know. I'm not as harsh as some Cardinals fan. I'm somewhere in the middle at three.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. DH wise, I think I'd give him a four, just because he is just a hitter. He's a good hitter. I would
Yeah,
not take anything away from him from that, even though he started the season out slow. That's not him. I think that's a big part on why we got him also, just because Yachty was struggling so much offensively. We wanted somebody to take over that. Um,
yeah,
but I think knowing, like, from what I see about Wilson and what I read about Wilson, he's a fighter, and I don't think he easily gives up on anything. And I fully expect him to get back to his catcher position. I fully do. Uh,
yeah,
and I'd love to see him back. Honestly, I mean that's what we got him for. That's what we paid the big bucks for him to play catcher. Yeah, for catcher, I'd give him a four too. Like he needs time. I feel like, especially because the Cardinals are so used to winning, he just has taken pretty much all the blame. It seems like, and
yeah.
yeah,
To kind of like bring all of our points together, like we gave him a 5 year, $87 million contract, and 1 month into that contract, we're already moving him away from his primary position. Like that sort of to me is a reflection of where the front office is right now. Like, kind of don't have a direction with like what they want to do with the players, because we're seeing like for a while we saw in the season where players were just playing everywhere. Like the outfield was like a shuffle of cards every night, and like Tommy Edman was platooning at one point. So I don't know. It's just a lot of stuff going wrong in the organization, but just gotta hope that things can get turned around.
yeah. Well, talking about catcher position, our third player in the confidence meter is Andrew Kishner. Um, yeah, Gerald, I'll let you start off with this one.
Oh wait, kids. I would say, I would say, he's doing pretty good as of late. He has had some clutch and timely. Hold on, he's had some clutch and timely hits. Um, uh, his defense is like okay or whatever, but he's been in the organization, so I think that's good. But with kids, I kind of think we know what we expect from kids, so I'm gonna say like a two or a three, just based on that, because we know he's not gonna be like a game changer for our team.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. That's kind of why I want Contreras to get back to his catcher position, just so kind of saves us from having to watch Kishner bat as much as he is good defensively. But I mean, he's turned up in this month of May. He's in 24 at bats. He has 7 hits, which is 292 hitting. But the bad part is his on base percentage is also 292 because he just does not walk at all. Um, so yeah, I mean, personally, I'd have to give him a three, maybe two and a half, just because I've never been high on Kishner. Um,
Yeah.
so
Also, like, just think about it. If we have Contreras at the catcher, that's like a great hitting catcher, and then we can have someone else slot in the lineup and maybe do a little bit better. But um, yeah, they've been trying to see what the pitchers look like with Kisner in the game instead of Contreras. But last night the Cubs got 10 runs on the pitching, so I don't really feel like it's Contreras' fault. But if they want to use Kisner in a bigger role, I guess. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm coming around to Kiz a little bit. Like I never thought he was our answer to Yachty retiring. Um, but I definitely think he's like a good second option, or if they end up liking his game calling more than Contreras, then I think he deserves a fair shot. Um, I don't necessarily think his offensive production is going to be where Contreras is, but I think Gerald was saying, timely hits from Kisner
Yeah.
recently, and you know I think he's actually been somewhat of a bright spot. So I'm feeling like 3.5, 4 for him.
Yeah, when you have a catcher that can come up and just he's been at the bottom of the lineup for the Cardinals. So you have a catcher like that that can come up and get like a double, and I think he hit one off the
Yeah,
wall. He had a game where he had two doubles. Yeah, the bats kind of been there lately, but yeah, we'll see if he can sustain it because that's the one thing that he has struggled with in his career is the bat.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I think baseball's changed too, where like it's not, the old days where you needed your catcher to be like a Mike Piazza and hit you 30 home runs a year. Like I think if your catcher's batting 240, 250 and just getting on and driving in runs, with singles and doubles, I think that's a pretty good offensive production for a catcher today. So, yeah, that was my final
Yes,
thought on that.
yeah, overall, there's just not too many guys in the MLB at the catcher position that are above league average offensively. So definitely having a catcher that could bring something to the table offensively is it's a luxury for sure.
Yeah. Um, Lastly, moving on to Zach Thompson, who he recently got sent down um, to the AAA, I believe, because he
Yeah,
is going to get turned into a starter. I was, I mean, at first when I did see he got sent down, I didn't know why, so I was kind of shocked about it because he was one of our best pitchers. But now that I know he's getting turned into a starter, I don't really know what to think. Um, I've never personally seen him as a starter or go very long in games, so I don't really know how to feel about it. So I'd
yeah,
give him a 3 maybe, just because I don't know much. I don't know.
yeah. Like I said earlier, I think it's kind of a reflection of what's been going on with the team lately. A lot of questionable moves. Um, Zach Thompson was one of our best lefties out of the bullpen. So to send him down, is kind of questionable. But like you said, he's being turned into a starter. I do like the idea of that. I think when he was first coming up as a prospect, he was a starter. So I think he has that ability, but we'll see what it looks like at the major league level. But like we said, he was one of our best arms, so I didn't really understand it. But confidence in him being a starter, probably a 3 or a 4, just because I like him as a player.
Yeah, I actually feel like his pitching ability gives me a 4 in confidence. I'm just
Yeah,
hoping that we don't screw things up and overwork him. I hope he's up to
yeah,
being a starter. Even if he's going to start games, if you have to pull him in like the fifth or something, just because his arm can't go that long, um, I think that'll be fine. But I'm hoping they don't try and push him too much
yeah.
because I don't want to see his career get affected because we worked him too hard.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know on the show before I said that I like the Tampa Bay Rays and their philosophies that they do, and they kind of I don't know if they still do it because they have some good starters, but I remember a few years ago they used to do like an opener for like their starters, where like a guy would come out and face the lineup like one time through. So maybe he can be that type of guy, or maybe they really do try to extend him out, but. Um, Yeah, I like watching him pitch. I think he's a very good pitcher, so I'm excited to see what he can do with the opportunity.
Yeah, the Cardinals used to do something like that. They call it bullpen night, and it's like you have a guy come out Like if you had to have a guy on short rest or something, you have him come out and pitch like 3 innings, and then you just run through relievers like
Yeah,
crazy. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that philosophy at all. Yeah.
yeah. I like that idea. I feel like I don't know. I don't know. Our starters ain't doing it, so maybe we should try that out.
All right, so um, that's gonna wrap up our confidence meter segment. We're just gonna go into a little intermission and finish off with looking forward to our Boston Red Sox series. So we'll be right back. All right, everybody, welcome back to the final stretch of our episode. We're just gonna look forward to this series starting tomorrow. Well, today, because the episode comes out on Friday. Um,
Yeah.
so we got Wainwright against Paxton. I'm actually super high on the Red Sox series just because their pitching isn't very good at all. Um,
Yeah.
they got Paxton, Sale, and Corey Kluber going up against us in the 3 games, and all of them have above 6 ERA. Um, yeah, I feel I'm pretty high on this series, especially coming off of the series win against Chicago. I feel like this we could bounce back and get on a good foot, so we can have a good series against the Milwaukee after the Red Sox. What do you guys think?
Now to before I start, are we playing in their stadium
Yeah, we're
or are
at
they coming
Fenway.
up a okay.
No, we're in Fenway.
Yes, so the thing about the Cardinals, I think we played Boston like last year or 2 years ago, and I like the way that we played them at Fenway. Obviously having guys like Arenado and Goldschmidt, the right-handers that can hit it over the Green Monster is good. But yeah, like you said, I'm excited for this series. Their pitching hasn't been good. Chris Sale hasn't been himself. Same for Corey Kluber and Paxton. He's been all right in his career, but yeah, I'm high on the series too. What you think, Addison?
You know, I'm not holding my breath on anything. I mean, Boston is one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the league right now. I mean, they are really having a down couple of years at it. You know, I hope we beat them, but even winning the series, I don't even know if that's like a good win. Like that's just something that you should win. So,
But
um,
if we do come out of this series and win, I think it can be a huge momentum builder
definitely it's a momentum thing, but you know, I'm not putting too much weight into winning this series because it's something that they should win. So,
I get you.
obviously the worst case scenario is losing. If you're losing to Boston, then we've got serious issues, and next week's episode will be fantastic. So,
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I got super high hopes on Arenado, especially. I think he's gonna have a really good series because last year he definitely played very good against Boston, the Boston Red Sox.
Okay.
Just because he just hits it so far up into the
Yeah,
sky and he
and
pulls
he's
it.
a pull hitter. Yeah, exactly.
I
Uh,
also think we could see guys like Edmund. Well, I guess they're going against lefties in Chris Sale. But I think you see our guys from the left-handed side also have a lot of success because of the short porch.
Yeah, I love personally as a Cardinals fan, I love when the other team has a lefty on the mound because I know our guys can hit lefties really well.
100%.
yeah,
But I think Kluber, you might see Kluber get hit on by like Edmund and Donovan and Gorman and Newbar more
Yeah,
because they're all going to be batting left on the left side, and they got that short wall over there in
yeah.
right field.
The dimensions of their field is crazy, but it's one of the most like when you think of baseball, you really think of Fenway, in my opinion. Like just it screams baseball when you see the field because of how long Fenway has been around. So, yeah, I'm excited for this series, honestly.
Yeah. So high hopes for the future, especially now that we're winning. I mean, getting first win in 7 games was huge, especially for my happiness. So yeah, this is gonna wrap up our second episode of the week. We should be going back to weekly episodes. It will not be a normal occurrence of us not posting an episode uh, every week. So yeah, thank you guys for joining me again for the second time this week to talk some
Always.
baseball.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
pleasure.
All right, well, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, goodbye.